Hello and welcome to the automations, and let's create our first automation flow. So let's add a name to it. And this is our automation section where we can start building our flow. So the first thing is the trigger. So basically what will trigger the person to join the flow. And by clicking on the plus, you can actually start building the flow itself. And here are the automated actions. So let's say that somebody joins the list, the automation, and you want to delay them before they start doing anything. With that, so you can delay them, let's say with 1 hour, and just click on the side to save it. So now when they join, they will be delayed with 1 hour. You can click on the plus and add another action that you want to perform after the delay is over. So let's send them an email. So from here you can add some kind of a name to it. Let's say welcome, and then add the first name of the user to personalize the subject of the email. From here you can select the first name, and from the button here you can actually start building your email. So click on it and select the design or start from scratch. So let's say this design. You can click on save to save the design, or you can click on more to perform some other actions such as saving as a template, pick a new design, preview, or send a test email to see how it actually looks in your email box. So let's click on save, click on the side, and we saved our email. Now we can add more steps to our automation. So let's just add a few so that we can see, create a few more things to it. Here is the if else rule. So basically that will split the traffic into basically 2 flows depending on the actual properties. So here are all the properties for the user. So depending on what is that status of the property, they'll go either left or right. So let's say if the country is Australia, we can send people to 2 different flows. If they're Australians with such country, they'll go to this flow. If it's not, they'll go to that flow. So by clicking on the plus, we can add more actions. So let's just add a tag. So all people who have a country Australia, we can tag them with some kind of a tag, for example. And here we have created the Australia tag, or you can create a new one from clicking on this button. So let's just select this one. So that action will be performed when they go through this flow. If not, they can just some other thing can be performed. Let's say update their property or delete the contact and subscribe them. Whatever you want, you can perform. So just like that, you can build as big as you want flows that perform exactly what you want them to perform. Sending emails, perform specific things for the users. Super simple and easy. And if you build a very big flow, you can just click on the minus so you can see it, a bigger picture basically. Or you can go back to the original view. Now, when do you want the person to join this flow is very important. That's why you have the trigger on top. So by clicking on it, you can actually start adding your triggers. What will trigger the person to join this flow? So by clicking on add new trigger, you can actually select what that trigger would be. So here are the 5 current triggers available. So let's say when somebody joins a list. So let's say somebody fills a form, you send them to a list, and when they join the list, they will start the flow. So from here, add to a list, you can select which list that is. Here we have some lists already created. You can create a new list if you want, but let's just select one of the lists, confirm, and that's it. We created our first trigger. So you can add as many as you want triggers if you want different actions, different things to trigger the automation, to join the person into the automation. You can do like this. Now, if you want the person, if they exit the automation, but you want them to repeat the automation again, you can just enable this option. So that will send them through this flow as many times as they being triggered to join the flow. If not, you can just leave it blank. So once they complete it, that's it. They will not join the automation anymore. And just like that, you've created your first automation. It's very simple. Now, there is something really important. Usually when you have some kind of an automation, it is very important to have some kind of a goal, because in most cases, you want the user to actually do something during the flow. Let's say make a purchase, fill a form, whatever that is. So in our system, we've created it so that you can define that goal. And when this goal is being met, you can actually just the person can just leave the flow because they already performed what you want them to perform. So by clicking on set a goal is where you can achieve that. So here you can click on add new goal and set up what action do you want when the person do to actually trigger the goal. So let's say when a tag is being added to the user, that will trigger the goal and we'll consider that person as achieving our goal, our result that we're trying to do. So we can select a specific tag. When a person is being tagged with that tag, let's say make a purchase in a checkout and that checkout tags them with tag 2, for example, that will trigger the goal and they will leave the automation because they already achieved the goal. So you don't have to spam them with more emails or other things because they already achieved it. You don't have to spam them anymore because they completed what you wanted them to do. So just like that, you can define different goals which would exit the person from your automation. When you're ready, just click on save, and you can also turn on your automation so that people can actually enter and start being sent into the automation itself. Now, when an automation is being live, you can also access the analytics and goals. Basically, here you can see information about the automation, such as how many people have entered, how many completed. This is how many reached the end of the automation, how many are still in the flow, so they haven't completed yet. And here we have some graphics and the goal, of course. How many have actually completed the goal? This is, I think it's so important because basically any automation have some kind of a goal, unless you just want to inform them in a chain, then basically the goal is to complete the flow. No specific action required. And here you can see all the emails that are being sent. Currently we have just one email in our automation. If you go to automation go, you can now see that at the bottom each step has how many have completed and how many are waiting. Now the waiting is only when you have a delay, obviously, because the person has reached that and they're waiting basically to continue with the flow. But all the rest, they just get executed right away because there is no delay in them. Some other cool things about it is that you can switch the position of the different steps. So by going over on the delete option, you can move the step up and down like this, very simple. And you can also add a note. So this is really cool way. So let's say this is our welcome email, and when you click on the note here, you can add some notes to your step. So you can say, let's say, a note, and you can add different notes. So different people can leave different notes, and you have the name and the timestamp of when that note has been left. And the cool thing is that you can actually pin a note. So you can click on the pin, that will pin the note visible at all times. So this is really cool if you want to give some kind of a note, sticky notes to your flows, maybe a reminder, what is this email about, or something about your team. You can leave them like this. Quite cool and easy way to do your notes. And that's about it. It's very simple yet super powerful to create really cool and unique automations, so you don't have to manually perform these tasks, and a flow will do everything for you and generate you leads, sales, whatever the idea of the goal of the automation is. When you go back, you can save changes and go back to automations, where you'll see all your automations, and there you'll see your open rates, click rates, and goals, which are if you have any goal set up. If not, it will just not be defined. You can of course clone your automation if you want to create a different version of it. But this is how simple automations are. I hope that you enjoy it, play around with them, and let us know what you think of the automations.